Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies +1. The Bourbon Shenanigans here.
So we're having some fun already. Pre-show.
You're having a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, Drew's already pre-censored us.
Yeah, really.
Come on, we can't say that crap.
Get it all out. I'm not allowed to talk anymore. Happy Thursday, gentlemen.
Cheers,
and
everybody.
Everybody's
Cheers,
already logged on. Cheers. It seems like it's been a while. I think I was out last week. I think Drew was out last week. Been busy so far.
We were drinking last night.
Yeah, we were drinking last night. We had some fun. We'll talk about that in a little while.
Great time.
We've had some folks here. We've had a lot of people already waiting online. I'm trying to catch up on comments, but Tom and Telex and
Hoagie's joined us.
Good
to see you,
morning. I'm glad you joined us because I guess you're the one that we need to pick a fight with tonight. So pour yourself a breakfast scotch, and we'll get into that in a little while. It'll be fun.
I find something peaty in the morning. Get you up
I'm sure
rolling.
he does too. And don't tell me he doesn't have a good peated scotch.
Cask strength.
Right.
So Hoagie's coming in peace, though. He's
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
that's part of the discussion.
So it's not really a fight. It's a chat.
It's a chat.
Yeah.
So who else has poured already?
Because here's the thing: nobody's really wrong.
No, nobody's wrong at all. That's exactly right. So this is what we warmed up with, you guys. We warmed up with this little Asanta.
I have a little Scotch more.
We had it last night, actually.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about that
Sure, let's
first?
just go right into that.
So we got invited to a tasting last night. Andrew and Mark and I went. Drew had a different work thing going on, so the three of us went to represent. But Dan Crowell, who's been on the show before,
U.S. ambassador for Glenmorangie
and Ardbeg. So it was a combo tasting, which was actually kind of cool.
It was really cool.
We tasted the original Glenmorangie, La Santa, Nectar d'Or, Quinta Rubin, 18, and Signet. And then they had the Ardbeg 10, the Ugadale, and the An OA. So, it was a hell of a lineup. And then they had different foods that you could kind of taste things
great
with.
Little platter of food.
And they paired it with cigars.
Yes.
It was a cigar bar.
It's a good glass.
So I'm a big fan of going into a nice cigar bar and they cut the cigar for you and light it and hand it to you.
And you've got a nice
what you're doing,
scotch on hand, right?
But the other part was we sat at the right end of the table because we had a lot of guys that were. Some of them were new to Scotch. Some of them had been drinking Scotch for a really long time. And it was a great conversation about the Scotches we were drinking and just in general, Scotch and whiskey and how they got started. So, that's always good company and good conversation.
But to meet some new folks in our market in Indianapolis that we can get together. I actually found out one lives like 2 miles from where we live. So, I'm sure he might make a guest appearance or we'll be up there at his house. And it's just expanding, our network, I guess.
Plus, it's always nice to talk to people that really get into it, and enjoy it for what it is. And, we had one guy that liked all the Highland sherry type scotches but couldn't do peat. Yep. So we were talking to him. Andrew was sitting next to a guy who, I guess he just sat down at the table, right? Well, he was a cigar guy.
He was a cigar guy. He said he's actually from San Jose, California. And he was traveling the country. He's retired and was doing cigar bars. And they happened to be having this tasting here. So he sat down and has done some Scotch. Glenlivet 12 is kind of his go-to, but he hasn't explored it. So the tasting last night, when you go from Glenmo Original to Ugadale, 43% to 55%, no peat to full peat, it's like the
breadth of
It's the extreme. It's that full extreme of Scotch experience, all in one little tasting. And now, admittedly, in a cigar bar, what do you know?
Nothing. Tom's calling Mike out. We got to keep an eye on them. Keep going.
So you know, the problem is
Squirrel.
in a cigar bar, it's not the best way to know Scotch, and you know you get a lot of other things going on. But again, it's all about talking about the Scotch and the people that you're with. So it was good. It was still a great time.
I actually enjoyed pairing the Scotch, you know, clearing my palate with some of the things they had laid out. The cheese and the...
They had dried fruit,
and
nuts,
some different
like
nuts
candied
and stuff.
nuts and toffee.
It was really enjoyable to mix it with the various Scotches, you know.
And then they had some smoked salmon. And
oh, that was really good. And I don't know if any of you guys know who Dan is, the ambassador for Glenmorangie and Ardbeg, but he's just a fun guy to hang out with. He will talk Scotch, whiskey, until
and it's not boring. It's like you're like going, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he is a wealth of knowledge.
He's forgotten more about Scotch than I will ever know.
But what's fun is he's an ambassador for the, you know, obviously these two distilleries, but he's not afraid to talk about other. I mean, he honestly had just talked about picking up a bottle of No Name at Vine and Table because he's like, I need another bottle of that.
Yeah. Well, and I had a really nice talk with him about your interview with Shane Fraser from
Westwood.
So I talked to him for about 20 minutes just about that and the whole, you know, distillery, like starting from scratch and, you know, the still shapes and all of that stuff, because a lot of these older distilleries, they have no idea, you know, if there was even a reason why they made the
and they sure don't have they don't get a chance to make that decision now. You know, they've been around for 150 years.
So you're making it, you know, you're making Ardbeg the way Ardbeg's always been made.
Right.
You know,
don't
screw it up.
What's so cool about Scotch in general is you can just talk so much. I mean, so much to talk about. I mean, I had some work functions. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but I had some friends that are starting to like Scotch, and we just talking about stuff, the history. It's so interesting to me and a lot of people. And the cool thing was, guys, is I finally got one of my buddies to try it neat. And he's like, all right, fine. He's a rocks guy. And I'm like, just try it neat. And I said, here, he goes, I'll do it every time you do it. Do it neat, a little water kickback. And he did it. He tried a couple sips neat and did a water trick, right? A couple drops. He's like, holy cow. I'm like, it never ceases to amaze me, the people's face, when they finally realize, wow, it does make a difference.
Oh, my gosh.
It's an aha moment. I love it.
It is.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. I mean, when you have those kind of conversations and you see people, you know, open up to different ideas, and
you typically go to a bar and you just see person after person after person with a glass of whether it be Scotch or bourbon with ice in it, and they don't. A lot of them don't realize that the cold affects it, and the water.
Yep.
A great deal.
Absolutely. The actual
that's
temperature.
How I used to be. So give me two cubes of ice. And everything.
Yep.
And now I really.
Oh, we went through our big ice molds with the balls and the squares and the. I mean,
and you know what? There's times I still.
Yeah, I still have some of those big ice blocks in my freezer, just because, you know, that's good with that. You know, I like that in good bourbon. I like a big rock in there. It cools it down.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. If you like it, my only thing is if you're going to do ice, that's fine. But do the balls, right? Because the little,
you don't want to turn to water.
Yeah, that's what happens. They don't realize
it waters it down
so
fast.
So quickly, you're kind of just ruining it. But you know, at the end of the day, if you like it that way,
it's your drink.
It's
your choice,
right?
Yeah.
I had a dude drinking house vodka on the rocks with 2 olives in it for lunch today.
Wow.
He had four of them.
Was that his lunch?
Whatever he likes.
Can I get a Caesar salad to go
I'm
with it?
not here to judge. I'm here to make money. That's what you want. I'm pouring it.
So some call-outs?
Oh, yeah. So we got lots of people on. Dram Dude, I'm going backwards. It's no order of whatever. Dram Dude, Andrew M, John Belushi, Richie Z, Telex, of course. Tom Waits. Hey, Tom, good to see you again. I watched your video. Tom Waite. Eric Waite.
Isn't that singer?
Eric
Waite. I watched his Whiskey Church this week.
I'll kick him later.
Tom R. George, Kaplan.
Hey, there's something too.
Yeah, Santa Cruz, and of course, you know, Hoagie to talk about. Ano. Do we want to talk about the little extra sampling we had there the other night? Last night?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Did I miss this one too?
Oh, yeah.
Richie's padding my two-handed rub.
So one of the things we were able to do, so one of the beauties of knowing Dan and getting the opportunity is he oftentimes will travel with special bottles. And he doesn't even get the full bottle. He gets like a sample, a big sample.
Of this one he didn't.
Of this one, he got a sample bottle. So we were able to get a sample of the Grand Vintage Malt 1989 from Glenmorangie.
We got like a half ounce each.
Right, because the bottle he had wasn't a full fifth bottle.
It was like a 375.
Yeah.
So if you go, I don't know if we've got it. If you go to the Glenmo website and look it up. The interesting thing about this, it was distilled in 1989. That was the last year the Glenmorangie, how do you pronounce it? Glenmorangie was in their old still house.
Right. So that was the year that they were still in an old still house. They made this juice, and then
they shut it down and moved to a new still house.
Right.
Now, theoretically, the stills are designed the same. The thing about Glenmo is that their stills are the tallest in Scotland. I mean, they want that light, that no sulfur, that flowery floral. That's their original.
And we actually had an interesting conversation with them about how long the stills last night.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So but we'll get to that later.
And so we got a sample of this. So it's a 27-year-old Scotch.
Ridiculous.
It's finished in ex-Côte de Rote wine casks.
Ooh.
And
phenomenal.
What is that?
Delicious.
Delicious.
It was really good. What's that bottle going for?
600,
that's
700.
I'm not sure the price.
I think it was upper 600.
He said there's like 4 bottles that were released to the state of Indiana.
Yeah. So there's only a few hundred bottles in the world, quite honestly.
And if you guys see it and you got the scratch and you're thinking about it, it was really
So
really
it was.
It's a phenomenal Scotch.
The thing is, so it's not my wheelhouse. It is a light. It is a rich Scotch, or it's not even that rich, but
it's my wheelhouse.
It's probably more.
I would call it
a bourbon.
I would call it rich.
It is rich, but it's not powerful, and so you really have to sample it, and you have to dig in and get those flavors. But pulling out, there's a little bit. You get the Glenmorangie character. There's apples, there's malt, there's honey, but then it turned into this creamy toffee and.
That sounds really good.
Here's how good it was.
Sounds really good.
I took 45 minutes to finish that glass.
Yes.
And it was
and I had a half ounce.
Yeah, it was a small pour.
I took one
really
sip.
Good for you.
I smelled it for 10 minutes. I set it down. I had dinner, and then I went back.
Yeah.
And it was
creamy,
phenomenal.
buttery.
Amazing.
Oh, I mean, just.
Yeah.
It's
So
good.
that was a really
Couldn't
nice
you guys
glass to
steal
try.
those sample
Dude, he barely.
He was
Yeah.
he was definitely keeping that one
It
close
was
to the
one of
chest,
those. You
but-
guys want to smell the bottle?
Right.
Yeah.
So-
I do. Actually.
So and we talked about this. So part of the thing we talked about is price. So it is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay that for the bottle. I mean, so because it's
Well,
not my
that's-
wheelhouse for one, but it's absolutely something to. If you get a chance to sample it, try it. If you get the bottle, save it because it'll go up in value without question. It's a great collector's
Yeah,
bottle.
from looking at the bottle too, it has that signet bottle type quality too.
Oh
design.
yeah.
It does. It's just fluted
Yeah,
shade.
just not black.
No, it was cool. So I mean, it was a really fun evening. I mean, it was 4 or 5 hours of talking about Scotch and.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I mean, it was like a
it was
Thursday, you know.
Like a third.
Yeah. But so obviously
But with
we
new
had
people. But with new people.
Right.
It's a cool thing.
having the Ardbeg ambassador, and we had actually sampled Oogie, and we had our Anno, and we had just released a review of it, and obviously there's a lot of comments on the review.
Did Dan say much about that? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
about Anno.
Did he agree with what we're saying? did he
Yes
not
and no.
say
I mean,
that?
he honestly had some very good points as to Ardbeg's reasoning or stance, what they're doing, why they did this. And obviously, it would go against what a few commenters out there. I think some of the diehard Ardbeg fans, want a hard Ardbeg punch in the nose. That's
Sure.
what they attribute to Ardbeg. It's going to be heavy, and that's what it's supposed to be. But the whole point of this release on Ardbeg was to show a softer side of
And they did.
Ardbeg.
They did.
And
if you think about it, they have to kind of diversify a little bit because they've been going on that hole, which is a good hole to be in, right? But what else can they do? I mean, besides peat? I mean,
Now,
lighter peat?
I mean, I'll flip and play the devil's advocate and say, but come on, Ardbeg, how many NASs can you put out? How many NASs do you need in your core range? How about throwing us some love and giving us another age statement bottle? Because right now all you got's 10.
And maybe they will.
Right.
And maybe they will. But at the same token, we're consumers of it, right? They've got decisions to make on what they've got and what they can produce and what they're sitting on. I don't know.
That's funny.
I will say that I like to point to Ardbeg when people tell me that NAS bottles can't be good.
Yeah.
I will agree with you, Telex. This compared to the Select, well, sure, yeah. I mean,
Oh, this is
a good bottle. I'm not. It just the difference I think I was making for sure, I think you guys will agree with me, is that this is a good bottle. We gave it a 2.5, which I think we all said 2.5.
Which is above average.
Which is a good average. But I mean, I want an Ardbeg. I want that deep. I mean, that's what you're getting into for Ardbeg. I think it's still a nice, softer approach to it. And getting
I still think it tastes Ardbeg.
It still tastes like Ardbeg.
Blindfold me, and I'm going to tell you it's an Ardbeg.
Yes.
Absolutely. I wouldn't go higher than the 2.5 just because I think it's got two flavor profiles they're melded together fairly well, but that's the only complexity that you get out of this thing. Well, hit it, man. You know we don't care in this house.
Man, this is awesome.
So I think that it's just one of those things that you get the sweet, you get the Ardbeg punch up front, but then that's really it. That's all the Ano has going for it. Yeah. But that's really all their purpose was for this bottle. I think was just a softer version of the 10. Is kind of especially after doing the tasting last night. That was kind of because the 10 is kind of punch in the face. It's a no holds barred bottle.
Yep.
Well, I think that people we're talking about. We've mentioned Select a few times because actually Hoagie had brought it up in one of his comments about the Ardbeg AN OA. Yeah, it's a Lefroy offering, and I have to disagree and say, listen, so Select. In my personal opinion, Select is a bad whiskey. I did not care for it. Not only did I not care for it, but I just think it was done poorly. It was just bad all around. I don't think An OA is bad. It's not quite what I want out of an Ardbeg, but I actually enjoy it because I still think it's a decent whiskey.
Yeah, I agree.
And so there's the difference between the two of those. I
mean, at the end of the day, it still goes back to take our review based on what you think of it from Ardbeg and our taste. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's do you want the Ardbeg? Do you want a little peat? Or do you want? I mean, there's so many different ways you can take this.
So right, and now the next question that came up, our topic that comes up in the comments then is, but it's the same price as Ugadale in most markets.
What? Okay.
And that's what everyone's saying. Hey, I mean, Ugadale's less than $5 more than this. It's within $5. Why do I get this then? Well, my answer is because you want a little bit of soft Ardbeg sweet peat, but you don't want to get punched in the nose by an Ugadale.
So let's flip the coin. Let's say I'm new to Scotch. I'm a Scotch guy. I like the space size, but I want to venture to the Islay side a little bit. Point me in a direction. Is this what you're saying? Is this is a direction that can say, if you look at, I mean, let's face it. There's probably a chart of what people probably rank Islays, right? I mean, as far as like holy peat, fire, charcoal to whatever. And I would say Ardbeg is probably typically on that higher scale of, oh crap, you're going to have some peat, right?
Right.
And this is a nice way for them to say, hey, we can play too.
And so everyone, to your point, maybe, yeah, I'm sure that there's got to be some sales and marketing and those kinds of numbers are put in there too. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, but to me, this kind of appeals to a bourbon drinker because you get the sweet, So I mean, you've got some marketing things that you can do with a sweeter, lighter style to appeal to the Speyside people, the Highland people, the bourbon market, because let's face it, peated whiskeys. It's a niche market.
Sure.
It is.
Now, if you ask, a new guy, this is a Speyside guy, this Highland guy, that's, I want to get into these islands, right? Well, you start thinking in your head as being an experienced whiskey drinker, Scotch drinker, and you're like, all right, so maybe I start them off here, and it's like wading into the pool, right?
Yeah. Or you just jump in feet first.
Right? Well, then you jump in feet first and go, for the big punch in the nose, or do you wade in and you get up to your waist and that next step, and it's like, all right, this is one step that's really going to be hard to get over, and I'm going to lose my breath.
Peanut butter!
Exactly. So the An OA falls on the shallower side of that pool, right? Yeah. And maybe it's not the first step, because we can get some lighter peated than this. Yeah. But
it's a softer approach to get you used to the flavor profile of Ardbeg without quite punching you in the face and scaring you off.
So
there you go.
I got to tell you, this is what's the price in this? Everybody know?
We could have picked up a bottle last night. I don't remember. $54.99.
That's a good Scotch.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It's a 12-year-old. I mean, it's 10 years in their normal bourbon, and then they put an extra 2 years in the sherry cask to finish it off.
It's a nice blend of the sherry.
That was why I brought that over. Remember that was the first Scotch I ordered at a bar.
Really?
Yeah. Right over downtown.
You did well.
Oh,
across the street from.
See, Eric Way said he's an Ardbeg fan. He's buying it.
across the street
But-
from Bakersfield.
So I do have to admit,
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
disappointed that there's not more Ardbeg aged statements out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the last age statement
All right,
they
we've
put
talked
out
enough
was
about
what?
it.
Was what?
Man, I've
We're
been
all
drinking
drinking
this
it.
whole time.
You're
Why'd
the
you
only
drink
one
it?
not.
That saved you
Well,
some.
you.
Well,
Um,
I cracked open the.
Oh,
The kid to Raban.
The latest,
Rubon.
last Ardbeg age statement that was released was what? 20
10?
something.
yeah.
Our
And
big
it
can.
was great.
Well, I mean that's their core, but I'm saying aside from that, that's Ardbeg 20 something. And what did that go for a bottle?
All the way aloft.
$5.50. I mean, so Ardbeg, why don't you come out with something that's an age statement that maybe I can get in on? I don't know. Now I'll tell you this, you guys, we did get into a little bit more of Ardbeg last night that wasn't a part of the tasting back at the dinner, and it was the grooves.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
posted that.
the
on
committee
there.
release.
The committee
Yeah, the
release
committee
of the
release
grooves.
grooves, and
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, we finally got some of that too.
Rob
Yeah.
was just asking about that, I think.
Yeah.
Was
it's
it Rob?
Crazy.
Hey
Yeah.
Rob, by the way, I
Whiskey
just see
six,
you're on
yeah.
there, buddy.
What's up, Whiskey 6?
Yeah, what's going
Good
on
to
up
see you,
there
sir.
in Canada, man? You guys finally getting some good weather? I know we are. The Grooves committee release, which is the cast strength, basically, right?
Yep.
Yes, Richie, it is.
We had
Yes,
some
it
fun
is.
stuff last
It was
night.
good. It's good. I really liked it.
I finally got to try the Muse last night.
We did get into some news, which
Man, you guys had some good scotch.
Yeah, we did.
So let's talk about the grooves real fast. So it's
Yeah.
just this rich
Please, you guys feel free.
wooden.
Talk about the grooves.
All right.
Grooves in the house.
So we're also trying to arrange, and we don't know if this is going to happen. We're going to try and arrange to do a side by side of the Grooves committee release and the Grooves.
that's
general
going to
release.
happen. That'll happen.
So that's going to be an interesting discussion because according to Dan, they are the same base liquid. The only difference between the committee release and the public release is water.
Is the ABV.
That is literally.
Yeah.
I mean, so they said that for some of the other ones, like the Perpetuum or something, they did have to do a different different casking.
Yeah.
But the Dark Cove, the Grooves, it is the same base.
Committee releases the
Barrels.
cast strength.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. And so that's the only difference. They just added water to it. So theoretically, if you added water to a committee release, it should taste just like the public
We'll see.
release. We will.
So,
Yeah.
Telex, I agree. I know what you're saying about the Ardbegs. There are some non-aged that are older than 10, but I'm saying an age statement. Put an age on it. Put a number. Let me know what's in this bottle. And there are a lot of other distilleries that are putting an age statement on it when the whiskey's even older than that age statement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at your Glendronach. There's some examples. If you do your homework, you find out you got a Glendronach 15 and it's 19-year-old Scotch. So
Don't mind if I do.
yeah, don't mind if I did, right? But I'm just, I want to. It'd be great to see, I don't know, an Ardbeg 15 or an 18 or something. I don't know. And maybe the only way we're going to see that in the near future is with your IBs, you know.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
let's be honest, there are distilleries like Ardbeg and McKellen that you don't see a lot being released to independent bottlers. It's just
No.
they're pretty stingy with their stuff. Which, by
Well,
the way,
we talked about that last
Yeah.
night too,
it does happen.
but not very
Right,
often.
not very often.
And usually they can't say that it's.
Right,
Ardbeg.
they can't even put on there that it's Ardbeg.
We got into a lot of stuff last night. We
Yeah,
had
it
a
was good-
long
good time.
conversation about a lot of different things. So
Tom asked what you thought of the Muse.
So the
I-
Muse.
Best single grain I've ever had. Typing it in the comments.
It wasn't a single grain.
It's a blended grain.
Blended. I'm sorry. Yeah, blended.
Best grain. How about
Right,
that?
yeah, just
No more.
It's very good. It was much more complex than I thought it would be. The nose was awesome. I was very impressed with it.
it's really smooth whiskey.
Yeah.
Big
The
shout out to Malted Man Cave and 6, by the way. Just wanted to-
cheers, guys.
Yeah, what
Hey,
things
hey,
about
hey.
that.
We had some
Cave?
very nice glasses with dinner last night. It was really really good. But the Muse was very nice.
Yeah. So that one, normally when you have a grain whiskey, it smells like grain whiskey.
Mhm.
Yes.
This one didn't. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I got juniper and I get
Yeah.
just all these.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah. It did.
Are you
But then the
using it right
juniper,
I'm using.
He's
the,
musing.
the
right now.
juniper burned off pretty quick, but
It
it was there.
So what's the price point of that bottle, by the way? Pop it up.
That I don't know
Someone look.
because
look
we
for
don't
me.
have.
I
a
only
lot.
had an internet device here.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
But it was very good. Actually, every Scotch we had last night was
So-
tasty.
Booty liquor.
Booty Liquor wants to know if there's a chance of doing the hedonism. You know, I don't know. If we're gonna
That's
review,
one we've not done.
We haven't.
We've done quite a few of the lines.
We
So
haven't.
hedonism is the Muse.
Is it?
It is a.
It's
bottling
a
of the
different version of the
Yeah.
of hedonism, right?
So the Muse is like 280 on Total Wine.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Mm.
tasty.
And Jeff brought like a big flask of it.
Yeah,
That was good.
it was good.
Uh,
There's nothing like going into a restaurant and everybody's pulling out flasks and pouring into their glasses of private
don't
steak.
mind if I do.
Hey guys, have you tried this?
Right.
We also ordered stuff off the menu. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
we
we,
did.
you know. I'm all good with all that.
Hey, Scott.
What's up, Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Scott.
Scotch Test Dummies.
I just saw that Scotch Test Dummies did a video of one bourbon, one Scotch, and one
I
beer.
saw that
I gotta
as
go
well.
check that out.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
I'm looking
nice.
forward to seeing what that's all about.
I saw that at work, but then I had a meeting. so
Exactly. I mean,
I couldn't put it on.
We
Right.
can send you the karaoke version of Mark and I doing. We did that one, didn't we?
yeah, we knocked that out, and
Yeah.
boy, we were 3 sheets to win
Stump
that.
jumper.
Dump jumpers, baby.
Wow,
That was a good
down
one.
in Tennessee.
How about some news, boys? You guys ready for
Yeah,
some
so
news?
what's
lay it
Scotch
on
in the
me.
news? What's going on in the wide world? So we've actually got one from Tom R. Gave us a little info.
Boom.
Let's hit his
Scotch in the
first.
news.
So Tom R. gave us some information. So say you're,
Here we go.
you're driving around Scotland and you've got a big truck. He's like,
You got a big truck.
I want to buy
Yeah,
something.
big truck.
I want to buy something to take home. Can I get a cask of something? And you happen to be down by Highland Park Distillery.
Happened to be.
52
The
gallons
answer
of
is yes, you can buy a cask now.
You can
Of
buy a
Highland Park.
cask of Highland Park, and I would love to have a cask of Highland Park.
Yeah, so I don't know any of the details. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to do this. So it's been
I'd never leave my house.
I know.
Wouldn't have to.
Does it have a price point? Does it at least? It says something like call, inquire.
so
for,
they plan out to fill a limited quantity of their iconic and award-winning 12-year-old single malt at its vatted strength of 58% ABV.
And do you get to choose the cask to put it in? Hi, Molly. Hi,
Well, it's
sweetheart.
going into firkins and quarter casks for fixed final period of maturation. So these smaller casks are going to give you more wood flavor to it. So they're not the full cask. They're a smaller quarter cask or so.
Well, I don't need
But
that. I want the big dog.
I want to show up with my own cask and be like, "You're putting it in this."
So
milk jugs.
they say, hey, this is a great opportunity. If you're planning a wedding, an anniversary, or a big birthday celebration, then have your own personalized bottles of Highland Park there.
Go.
That would be really nice.
I mean, yeah, you got empty milk jugs and stuff, and you're like, "Just put it in here."
So the thing is,
Put in my hand for a quarter.
they don't list the price. You have to kind of get on the list first,
Sure, you do.
and then they need to figure out.
Because they don't have any casks
Yeah.
just sitting around.
I don't know if we're worthy enough to get on that list. They probably have to check a bank account to make sure you have so much.
No,
in
so
it.
You break 100.
The Viking Soul
How much
cask
for a
is.
rib?
It's only available to
No, I don't
members
want
of our inner circle.
Right. So obviously,
You gotta be
Tom
Tom.
is part of the inner circle because he's the one that got the notification.
Tom
we
is
didn't.
the guy. He's got connections. He knows everybody.
Oh, we know he has connection.
All right,
But
so
we'd be about buying a cask.
here's another one.
Let's go to
from,
the next one.
Yeah, this is for Sean.
So, how would you like to drink a bottle of molasses?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh, this bottle looks incredible.
Tamdu is releasing a 120th anniversary
Thicker the
bottle.
better.
look at that.
Look
man.
at this bottle.
It's like syrup.
Has that been photoshopped?
It's
I
gotta
mean,
be.
come on.
And I did hear that they're getting ready to release their back strength edition 4 is coming out soon.
Yeah.
I haven't had the 3.
Hey, by the way, did that batch
15-year-old
1
first
show
fill
up?
European
It never made it, huh? We
Uh-huh.
never
For sure.
followed up on that.
Hmm.
Oh. This one looks good, but what's the price point on it again?
250 pounds.
50,
250
so
pounds.
probably 300.
$300.
I'm not okay with that.
59.3 ABV though.
I'll bet you it's absolutely
It looks
delicious.
ridiculous.
Non-chill filter.
And I like the fact that they do some higher ABV releases.
50.
1897 is when it first opened.
Tamdu does it right, man. They have
That's
good
why it's
stuff.
120.
I swear, Scott, if you post down here that you've already reviewed this, I'm gonna be upset. We're driving to Kansas tonight.
Yeah, totally will. I can call in sick for Tamdu.
right. Scott's like, yeah, we just reviewed that one last night. What?
Those guys, I mean, they have Scotch.
Yeah, they're killing it. But I definitely would like to try that Tamdu. I mean, we'll see what
They're gonna need new livers to swap out.
we can do. We need to find out where to nab a bottle
I'll
of that.
donate a liver.
Not
For
for
a
them.
price.
But I mean, you're gonna taste it.
I'm not donating my liver. No
I don't
way.
know. I'm using
I'll
it.
give up kidney, but
I'm
not
using it
donating.
hard.
I'm exercising mine.
Speaking of which,
Drink some more of that.
See, he's got the batch 1 and 2. I knew that much.
Well, we did the batch 2, didn't we?
well,
Mm,
we did 2.
right.
We had batch 2.
Yeah, you bought the 2 and,
And we
kicking
drank
yourself in
the-
your butt for not grabbing the 1.
That disappeared.
Right.
I was a
Tom.
big fan of that.
What's Tom saying?
Who wants the last
Sonny.
little
Sunny,
bit?
Arizona. Who's that? Samuel Cast 1. I think someone new. Well, welcome
No,
to
he's
the
been on
show.
before.
Okay, I don't recognize him, but hello.
Who was Australia was on tonight too? He's on.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I used to live in Arizona. Who wants to kill this bottle?
I do.
So Richie wants to know: are we going to review the Glen Scotia 15 or the Victoriana?
We haven't touched one of those.
either
We've
one of those.
we've not
I've
touched
seen
the
it.
Scotia, and obviously we need to because a lot of people have said something.
Eventually,
about
we're
that.
going to get to everything.
You know, honestly, when you say that, there's been a couple of
And then
posts
something
on
new will come
comments already tonight that I've seen, and I don't know if you guys are on Scotch Addict on Facebook, but I noticed someone who made a comment on it about Linkwood. I'm going to talk about that for a brief second because
I almost bought a bottle of Linkwood. the
being
other day.
an SMSW member, obviously I get their outturns every month. They do a lot of Linkwood, right? A lot, and I don't know anything about this distillery, so I'm not interested in just taking a wild shot in the dark at grabbing an independent bottle of Linkwood, right? But I'm seeing more and more people talk about it, and a couple people have put it on comments tonight. So I'm really curious to
Yep.
know, folks, if you've had a Linkwood or do you have a Linkwood, you know, what's your experience? What do you guys think about it? Because maybe I need to do a little research and take, you know, make a very selective shot, you know, and not just a eeny, meeny, miny, go, but all right, I'm going to look into this and we're going to pick a winner.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
Pick a winner.
That's the only reason I haven't bought one yet.
Exactly. I mean,
I've looked at a couple and had them in my hand and set it back down and picked up a different
Where are
bottle.
they at?
I had one that was an independent bottler from,
probably CWC.
and Vine and Table had it.
Exclusive malts, probably.
It
Yeah.
looked good. I mean,
Yeah.
the description sounded great.
It's a space side.
But
Well, and you know,
Try
the
to rock
irony
back.
is this. It's happened a few times to me personally over the last 3 years since we've been doing
they
this.
make
you
a
know,
pill
this
for
sugar.
that.
I know, right? where we get introduced to a distillery that I've never tasted. Glendronach was one of
Right
them.
up.
Hey, yeah, you get a shot and that's it. Come on, Doc. Do I have to carry this around forever? Hey, do I have to tell anybody about this?
Moon River.
But it happened with Glendronach. We'd never tasted a Glendronach. Walked into Vine and Table,
And
they
now
got
I'd like
cases
to
on 'em.
always taste the
And,
Glenfiddich.
and now I'll never pass another Glendronach up. Right, exactly. So it's almost, you know, it's getting exposed to the next distillery that we're going to fall in love with. And, you know, it's not like you ever stop loving the other ones. You just add to the collection,
Heck
to the
yeah.
harem.
Get the hair bigger.
You're a
Oh,
Scotch
God.
pimp.
You know, I think what we should do is get us and the other reviewers together and open up a bar, man. We'd make some. We have some collections going on.
I know.
Jeez.
We do need to. I know I've
Whiskey
said
and
this
the
many
Six has
times.
got a ton of good stuff.
We wouldn't match.
The only problem is
Yeah.
you drink up all your profits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't sell dope if you're smoking it too. You know what I mean? At least that's what Smokey said on Friday. Oh my god!
What are you doing back there?
Oh man! Check up on the comments.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. So, all right, we've covered the main points of things that we needed to talk
Don't
about,
get
right?
high on your own
You know what?
supply.
Before I forget, and the wheels do come off, to talk about what we have coming up here in the very near future. Next week,
We got a lot of good stuff.
we've got
Andy.
Andy.
Yeah, what do we? Is that
Yeah,
next week?
well, it's either Andy or it's going to be Andy because I'm
It's
pretty
Andy
sure.
next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ben
on.
from Dalmore is in Jura. He's tied up, so he's going to go into probably June. But next week is Andy. We are going to have Ben from the SMWS on the 24th.
That's gonna be cool.
That's going to be really cool. We might actually have some really interesting things going on that night. It might just be more than a regular typical live show.
It may
So-
not even be here.
yeah, who knows? We're going to see how we can pull that one off, what we're going to do. But then moving into June, we've got Amanda and Ben, and so there's
Yeah.
still a lot of things in
Dalmore's
the lineup.
got some cool stuff going
And-
on.
I'm still trying to work with Bowmore. They're a little more standoffish. I'm not sure they truly understand the whole.
You gotta
online
come in
marketing,
with
yeah.
the soft touch, man.
Yeah. Little
How
reach
you
out.
doing? Buy you drink?
Check your audio.
I got
Okay. No, it threw me off. So there was one other thing I wanted to mention. So and we'll run it by everybody on the live channel right now, since you guys are all there. Get a sort of a feel for your thoughts. We obviously need to include our patrons in this decision, but we're really getting backed up on scotches to review, and we've tried to stick true to our schedule, and that's hard enough. Obviously, I'm sure Scott and Rob can attest to trying to put out content, and the more you put out, the busier you are. But we also need to up ours a little bit. So we're thinking about, upping that 2 reviews to a week. So
plus our live.
Yeah, plus the live. We're not gonna stop doing what we already are doing. We're just gonna add another review during the week, maybe on Friday or Saturday or something like that. Just to
kind of clear out some of the
backlog. I mean, Roy addressed it on one of his shows last week or the week before about samples that people send. It's not that we don't want to try them. It's just getting to them, right?
Well, that's why Bart's doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
they do the quick hitters and
exactly.
But we've got a lot of stuff that's been sent to us that we need to review because we're having guests on,
right?
And we need to talk about what they've sent us to review. So I think that it wouldn't be forever. But it would be a temporary thing so we can get some of this stuff banged out and get on to to some new stuff.
So we got some technical difficulties.
Do we? The stream went down for a second,
but Santa Cruz gave us 10. How about Wheelhouse for Santa Cruz?
Speaking of Wheelhouse, I got more scotch in the news.
What's awesome about that is I'm starting to get a little stressed out and down that we're having a little bit audio issues, and I'm like and Santa Cruz just puts a smile on my face like, hey, don't worry about it, just have a drink.
Giddy up.
I think what's happening is we're riding probably the edge on our bandwidth for some reason, I'm not sure why, and what happens is somebody maybe upstairs or something does something, and then it just chokes us down for a second. Now it's back up to normal status, so now it just catches up because of the delay.
I think it's our internet service provider, because everybody in this house is
in bed.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
the point is bandwidth took a hiccup somehow.
Couple houses down, there was 2 Spectrum vans.
Yeah, maybe
lights on.
They may be like you said, hitting something.
They're
of course
throttling our bandwidth.
Of course they're throttling our bandwidth because they want in on
we don't pay enough.
because we're having too much fun.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, so I think we're okay, right, guys? Back to normal.
So, I like Islas.
What? Get the hell out of
here! I can't
Why
tell.
do you like Isla?
Because they're good. And Elixir Distillers has announced they're gonna build the 10th distillery.
Who?
Elixir Distillers. They have Portiskeag and elements of Isle brands. They're going through the whole process to get.
Where are they building it?
They're building between Port Ellen and Lefroy on the south coast.
That was where I was going to build.
Well, isn't Port?
Are you part of Elixir Distillers?
Not
You
yet.
didn't know about it?
Isn't Portiskeag north of that?
That doesn't mean I can't buy into that stuff, right?
Well, that's the brands they own. They're getting ready to build. Ooh, there's
Hey,
Dummies. Hey,
Oh, thanks, Scott.
hey, Scott.
Jeez, guys, thank
He
you.
didn't take
man.
the boss, did he?
That's awesome.
No,
yeah.
he still
Oh
got it.
gosh!
I got it.
If Scott takes over boss on our channel.
It's close.
Oh,
it's so
like
close.
a buck left.
Oh my
Scott
god!
almost took it.
If it would have been
If he got
$5 instead
$5,
of
it would've been-
$4.99.
I'm telling you, the next super chat will be the stream boss.
Yeah, it was stream boss.
There's no way. That was
So-
close.
Have they talked about like what their style's going to be? I mean,
They won't
there's
even-
only one reason to build on Isla.
Well, and so that's the thing.
You know what I mean?
They're very hush hush about.
You don't think
what,
it's gonna be
what
pitted, do you?
brands are going to be, what they're going to call the material, the whiskey coming out. But they're planning to be running by 2020. So, it's going to be an interesting. It'll be 10
that's
distilleries
what
in
I
that
thought.
little bitty island.
Right.
All
So
going for that.
you had mentioned they have something to do with Portiskeag. They own that already.
They own that brand.
Okay. Yeah, because that's up there in between. It's right on the Isla coast, right off of Jura.
Of Jura, yeah.
That's
All
what I
I want
thought
to
it
know
was
is how
right
do we
there.
buy in? That's it.
Son
That's
of a
all I
gun.
want to know.
He just did it $2 to
Just
take it.
take it. Did he take it too?
All right. Oh no! Yes, Slither left.
He's cussing you now.
He's
He's
like,
like,
"Damn it,
he's like,
Drew.
Drew's just
You're
showing
so
up.
close.
He's baiting me.
$2 more and you'd be
Just
there.
for $5 more, you can yours too.
$15 would probably
That's so
take
stupid.
it.
I mean, it's such. This is not even
What a fun thing.
Ridiculous.
So
That's
Drew will
awesome.
give you a
Number
psychic
10.
reading with it.
This is going to be number 10.
And I can't
Yeah.
name them all.
And
So,
I'm curious to
I
know
should.
what their strategy is going to be.
He did.
He did take it, didn't he?
Yeah, he's now
You
the
got
stream.
Down goes the boss.
Wheelhouse Scott.
Cheers to Scott.
Awesome, dude.
So
He'll be there for a
we
while.
are Scotch for Dummies, run by Scotch
Right.
Dummies.
A
Brought to you
subsidiary
by
of
Scotch Test Dummies.
Subsidiary.
Subsidiary.
Brought to you
Oh!
Oh, whiskey! You're just a little shy, buddy. One more second sitter would have
Rob's
been
a
yours.
day late in the dollar show. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we're going to have to advertise Scotch for Dummies brought to you by Scotch Test Dummies.
Good.
It's gonna be a fight between the whiskey
Scott
reviewers.
All good.
No, it's me. No, it's me.
Well, we
Scott
need is a
made
parent
sure.
company to just
I
fall
know.
under the umbrella of.
Yeah, where's our cowbell sound like those guys?
Man, I got news for you. This dog knows you brought pretzels.
No, no.
He'll do a
So-
pretzel sound.
Mike, I was going to bring up about this new distillery on Isla. I'll be curious to know how what their plan is, what their business plan is on if they're building a new distillery.
It is.
You know, because we've talked to Wolfburn and we've seen how they handled it. We talked
Yep.
last night about another distillery, and I don't remember what distillery it was that built it from scratch. And they're just like, we're not bottling anything for 7 years. Just, you know what I mean?
make
We're
it-
gonna build a distillery. We're gonna start distilling, and we ain't putting a drop out for 7 years, and that's a commitment.
That's a lot of money.
You got a nest egg in the back to make
Yep.
that happen. Now, obviously, you're running a skeleton crew too. You're like 3 people to do
Well,
it.
you know what's funny? Because I was talking
They've
to,
got other jobs.
I was at work today talking to a couple of reps about like bourbon people, small batch bourbon distillers, and there's a lot of people that are getting into the small batch bourbons, like ultra small batch stuff, right? And so I get people that come in and they're like, hey, do you want to carry our brand? It's only, $50 a bottle. And you're like, $50 a bottle? I can buy like a whole flat of Jim Beam for $50.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And so, you taste it and you're like, it's really not that good. So, they've got a subpar product that they have to market for a lot of money.
Right.
Because they've got a huge overhead.
Right.
And they've got to keep this stuff in cask for, a few years. And it costs money to do all that stuff. So to hear a distiller, a Scotch distiller say, you know what, just keep making stuff. In 7 or 8 years, we'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Like,
Just make sure
that's
you're
a-
making something good, and we're putting it in quality casks.
From
and,
a business
you know,
perspective, that is a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
To say, okay, not only do we have this, multi-million-dollar distillery that we've got to build, and we've got to buy all the supplies to, to distill the product, and the cask to put the product in, and a warehouse to put the casks in. I've got to pay the employees for 7 years. That's a long time.
Burnt toast.
Man, I told you to drink that.
takes
You don't have to
wrong with
hide it from me.
No,
I want a
you-
glass.
But I asked that question to
That's why I'm
Shane.
hiding it from you.
I asked
total.
that question of Shane when he started, when he got interviewed for the Wolfburn position. I said, what did you guys did you ask? Did you have to do gin? And he's like, well, that was one of the questions I had during my interview. I wanted to know, and they point blank looked at me and said, we're not doing anything but whiskey Scotch, and we've got enough to get past the 3-year hump. You just focus on making good quality whiskey and putting it in good quality casks and selling it when it's ready. Not we're not going to do gin to keep the lights on. We got enough to keep.
I mean,
the
a
lights
lot
on.
of places though, when you first start out, you're a distillery, so you're doing vodkas and gins,
Whatever.
or you've got a brewery attached and you're making beer.
something
You know,
to bring some cash flow in the house. Or you bought an old distillery and you've got mothball
You've got
product.
mothball product that you can sell off as something else.
Right,
Now,
right,
To generate some kind of cash flow to help offset the costs.
right. 'cause
When
it's not
I
cheap.
listen to Whiskey Cast, though, they talk about some of these other distilleries that are opening up, that they'll actually buy whiskey from other people and bottle it under their name until they get material from their stills. So there's multiple ways to do that. You either distill something else, you buy other whiskeys that you like, in the style that you're trying to get your whiskey to be, and sell that as.
So,
under
like,
your
let's
brand.
say hypothetically, we built a distillery.
Hypothetically.
Just throwing that out there. We obviously wouldn't have the capital to build a distillery and not make any money for a while.
Yep.
And I was doing some research on Eden Mill.
Of course you were.
Why wouldn't you?
Yep.
But they were a brewery, and now they're moving in. I guess they're moving into a larger distillery house.
Okay.
But they started out as a brewery. So you're making beer, which who doesn't like beer, right?
It's easy, bottle it, you go.
Right, yeah.
And we can distill
It's quick turnaround. It's quick turnaround, and you're utilizing similar equipment that you're going to have to use anyway in the distillery. You know, it's doing the first part of the process basically.
Exactly.
And you've got a bottling line, and you know, so you can cross-purpose a lot of the equipment that you're already utilizing. Go ahead and kill that.
So you.
So, you know, I don't fault distilleries that have to do that. If you're making a gin or, you know, if you're brewing beer or whatever you're doing, you know, whatever keeps the lights on, because you've got to make it at least 3 years.
Exactly. You got to make it.
Really, probably
there's nothing
4.
to be ashamed of doing that.
By the time you let it age for 3 years and bottle it and start selling it, you're talking 4 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a process.
And
And
the local Hotel Tango did.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were a cocktail bar and mostly vodka, gin, rum,
Yep.
and
Because that stuff is quick and easy to make. You don't have to age it.
Bourbon. So.
Yeah. So I don't fault anybody for doing it.
It's great.
Is that what you got in your glass?
that's what I put my. It was out on the bar, so I
I'm-
used to, but it
So
just
you let me
smells
pour that, so I
wonderful.
wouldn't take
I'm
it
not
back.
gonna
So-
have any because I feel like that's Drew's bottle.
I
And
just
don't
posted
wanna-
a picture on our page with me.
But then they're
Those.
transferring to their own casks, and
So I gotta have something that's.
Bottle down.
I really want to open the wolf.
Bottle down,
You
Moose.
know what I'm
You
saying?
did.
Uh-oh.
Killed it.
I got 3 of them.
I know.
So Eric makes a good point. I love that quote. It takes a large fortune to make a small fortune in whiskey.
Yes, it does.
That's very true.
That's any sort of food or beverage.
Yeah.
Very
How do you want to
No.
make a small fortune? Start with a large
How-
fortune and open a restaurant.
Yeah. You know what? I've had several people come
That's
to me and they're like, you know, I've got some money and I'm thinking about opening a. Don't do that.
Right. Don't do that.
For one thing, you're probably opening it for the wrong reason, and for a second thing, it will just suck your life away. So don't do that. That's my recommendation to you.
Oh, Hoagie, that's just a below the belt shot, man. Come on.
He really.
He's
is a
just
stinker tonight.
I know.
This week he's been a
He's
stinker in this
really
IO.
anti-NO. And okay, fair enough, I get it. But listen, maybe
oh,
this is just a whiskey
let's
that
go.
you don't like, right? So,
Like that Ben Nevis.
yeah.
You can give that to Scott all you want to. He likes that nail polish.
I mean, honestly, it's easier to accept from you because we know that you're a huge Ardbeg fan.
We
You
know,
know,
we
you
know.
know,
You're
I
a
get it.
Strength guy. and-
Nothing but respect from this group to you. Absolutely.
That's true. I mean,
You're busting our chops a lot this week, though, on that note.
yeah, you are.
I mean, it's 45%, so it's not like it's nothing.
Yeah, but you know, it could be. It could be, and I don't know. I tried. I think during our review, I don't know if it was me
Go,
or
Pokey,
one of us.
Tell him.
What now?
It's not time. It's funny. Would
Well,
you guys
we
ever
could
go
do
live
that.
with Food Quig? Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could have like 8 hours. Like
Here's the
constantly
thing. I
online.
mean, here's the thing. I'll just put it out there. Thursday is our. We just do every Thursday. We try to make it happen no matter what. We do other lives, but they're usually spontaneous.
Just-
like,
Off the heat of the moment.
I mean, and we do our best. So FYI, if we have trumped you guys in a live somewhere, we're sorry, but we just do them whenever we can. We try
Yeah.
not to. We try to
And they're
be
short. Okay,
Yeah, we
short.
try not to do anything, but you know.
Well, and on that note, we do have an obligation to live up to, and that's putting out the next roundtable. You know,
Yes, we can do
honestly, we looked at
Thought we
that.
said
We've looked
May
at the
19th.
calendar. Is that what we've done? I don't
We
think
were
so. I was supposed to get
Must
off
be
to
the
Scott.
green
You're
one.
right.
What?
Yeah,
May what?
May 19th is
Okay,
what
Saturday.
is
May
what we
19th,
want
that's
to try to
Sunday.
pull it off. So I need to reach out to Scott, who's on. This is a great opportunity, and find out what needs to happen to make the next roundtable. We were looking at the
You have to
19th,
wait
but
till my glass is full.
anyway, Scott, I need to get
There's
in touch
gonna
with
be
you
more.
offline about that. So hopefully we can make that happen. 'Cause it's
May
been on our
May
plate.
19th is pencil right now.
It's penciled
Is that
in,
the-
right?
That's some.
Are you guys gonna open that?
The Mormon?
What?
What? It's not open? I thought you said it was
These two together are a bad combo.
The Mormon is not open.
What you mean?
yet.
Well,
Paper
the
towel.
Elvis, well, these, you two better. I don't have any.
No.
Oh, hi,
You
my.
peeled the foil.
The dog wants pretzels.
You just
really
put a new
bad.
foil on. Put a new foil on.
Scott said he's hosting our channel. We'll do whatever he does.
No,
No, he didn't say it that way.
So, and Telix brought up the fact that
We're bought and paid for right there.
Maybe we can talk to Whiskey
Scott
Bristol
owns
and
this now.
get a bottle of that whiskey or Scotch Blue to share.
Share?
Scotch blue.
Are you kidding me? That's not
That's
even Scotch.
That's our lowest rated.
You're gonna fly to Korea just for that.
Thank God that's what it would take to get it, and I know that's not going to happen. I think there's some Rocker Brand honey on here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there is. So,
That Deanston 20 is delicious.
Richie's he's asking about your view of the Muse.
Mine? Honestly,
What do you got there?
so we had some Muse last night, but I happened to be introduced
This is
to
their
it
actual
this
peated.
past weekend. There was a whiskey in Indianapolis, sort of like whiskey club event that
Not
we
just
got
in a peated cask,
invited
but they
to.
actually peated
And
them all.
Andrew and I went, and at that event, as it was winding down a little bit, actually we posted a picture and did a live from it, remember? So as it was winding down, the host opened up, or had opened and poured a flight of grain whiskeys for us, grain scotches. And it was like a 25-year-old, I couldn't name one. One was 25, one was like
35, one was
32,
42.
and one was 42. And then it ended with the Muse. Oh, is that?
Yeah, it is.
That's, Morgan?
Ah, I'll get through this and I'll get
I
to
know
that.
you will.
So anyway, I did this whole flight of grain whiskeys, and honestly, having a low expectation
What?
going into it, it was a wonderful flight. And then to end with the Muse,
The Muse was excellent.
I think it's a really good quality whiskey. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to say that everything Compass Box puts out is home runs, because they've got a couple that don't meet the muster for me. But man, by and large, what John's doing is really he's a master at it. And that Muse I thought it was really good. I absolutely loved the nose. I could have sniffed it all night.
Yep.
And just the palate was really easy. I expected something a lot harsher and a lot worse, and it was just a very good. Now, what'd you say the price was? $280 or whatever? I don't know.
It was the two, yeah.
I don't know if it's
like
that.
270, 280.
But
it was
it's
good.
300 good,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is good, and I'll never turn a glass of it down. That's for sure.
No, I would never turn that down. If somebody offers you the Muse, you've got to step back, stop.
Collaborate and
But-
listen.
I was just going to say,
You knew that was coming, right? Everybody on the channel went there.
dun, 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 dun.
Appreciate it, because it is not like your normal malt. It is not the malt, but it's not your grain whiskey. Yeah, it's like
It's a brand new invention.
Oh, look at that!
What?
Yeah, I got a fellow Deanston lover.
What are you talking about? Drew, I found about
Sierra
this
McGee.
20 after your guys' review. It is so interesting. Gets better every time I open it. Burnt toast. Well, cheers.
Yeah.
Wheelhouse
cheers to
Drew.
that.
Wheelhouse Drew. Roger that. Amen.
awesome. So we're doing both.
You got
drinking
some in your
Wheelhouse.
glass right there.
Got some Ardbeg and got some Deanston. Done.
Smell it.
I'll tell you what, though, Richie, talking about the Muse and grains, it actually, last weekend when we did that flight, I actually talked to Andrew on our drive home. I said, you know what? That's something we've kind of ignored on the channel, and we need to spend a little more attention to that. And just go out of our way to find some either blended grains or single grain scotches and
We've
put 'em
tried a
on
few
here.
that were decent, and I've
mean-
tried a few that were not decent.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not going to set an expectation. I'm going to go
Right.
in open eyes,
Interesting.
and
You
just
can have it, some
what it is. It
clear.
is what it is. Hopefully, we find some winners.
I'm thinking
sure
no
we'll find some
E150.
losers, but we need to spend some more time in that realm.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to have different expectations with grain, usually lighter coke. So exactly, that's
Yeah. Good
that's
point.
what I'm saying,
Good
Scott.
point.
is I
Vanilla,
want to
cream,
go
et
into
cetera.
it without
That
an
sounds like mine.
expectation at all. I'm not gonna expect this when
That's a
I'm
good
trying
point.
that. I just want to go in and give it a fair shake, and let's just,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I will say the Muse is different. It wasn't it obviously wasn't a single malt scotch. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
It was lighter in color. The nose and the flavor profile were different, but it was really good.
It was.
It was different, but it was very unique, and it was definitely worth drinking. I was not upset at all to have a glass.
You know, I mean, it's a blended grain, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about blends a little bit last weekend. One of the host of the event, he poured what was it? It was a blended malt. It was a blended malt with a Scotch called what was it? Big Bull. what was the name of that? Something Bull. And I he hands me the bottle, and I thought it was a joke. I'm like, really? Was this a gag, right? He's got this big bull on the bottle, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, try it. It's a 21-year-old blend. And I poured it, and I was like, holy shit. That's delicious. It's not. I mean, it wasn't
not
at
all
what
what you thought it
I
was.
was thinking it was Scotch, though, was it?
Yes, it was.
Scotch?
It was
Okay.
blended malt Scotch.
Sounds like something we would do, right?
And because I was even making fun of him, like strong like bull, right?
Wrong like bull. I just want to say
Black Bull.
couple
Black
things.
Bull. Thank you, Tom.
What do you got?
Donald Payne, man, picked up some Balvenie bottle of Glengoyne 25.
Oh.
And hit in the hit list, and the ball Blair in 1990. Oh my gosh.
Oh, so
Heck yeah.
Whiskey in the Six, I think, did a thing of the Ball Blair 1990, and
Yeah.
just like fell all over himself over it.
That's some
It was
good
one
stuff,
of his
man.
favorite.
You've got a lot of guys like, oh my gosh, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, also real quick, Telex, what you got going on, bud? I know you got an after show tonight. Why don't you go ahead and
Oh yeah.
tell us what you got going on?
Tell us, you're up. Tell us what can we expect on the Whiskey Tech?
As he's typing that, I'm sure Eric Waite probably does have a bottle of, nor Whiskey Throttle has a bottle of Black Bull.
Black Bull.
I
Jason,
never
I'm
heard
not
of it.
surprised.
Thought it was a gag, and it's not.
really
we
good.
we should probably get some. Then.
It's crazy. I mean, we've done 147 different Scotch reviews. A couple repeats.
Officially.
But generally not repeats. I mean, there's more that we haven't tasted than we have tasted. It's crazy how many bottles of Scotch are out there.
I'm doing a review right now in my head.
I was talking to one of my workmates this morning
And
on the
it's
way
a
in.
good
He
one.
asked, he's interested in going on the UK tour that we did, and he was like, "Well, did you find some interesting in Scotch?" And I'm like, "Man, did I ever?" I mean, it just really opened your eye. It's like there's a crude analogy, but it's like going to a gas station looking for beer versus going to like a huge supermarket full of beer. It's just like a completely huge amount of Scotch that you've never heard of, never tried. I mean, it just goes to show
Well,
you.
it doesn't make it over here.
No.
It's like the bourbons that we have access to.
That don't make it over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it's true.
Yep.
Or don't have access to it.
Viewer's choice.
I got a bottle of
Lots to
Blanton's
pick
at the
from, he
restaurant
says.
today.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So
Santa
We
Cruz
get like
saw
one every 6 months.
40-year-old Black Bull yesterday for $1,000.
speaking
Wow.
of old whiskey,
Wow.
we got one more Scotch in the news.
Oh yeah, well you've got
Make it
like
quick.
2
Just the
minutes.
Make it
Glenfarclas.
quick.
A 1920 bottle of Glenfarclas single malt whiskey, believed to be the oldest unopened bottle in existence.
Of Glenfarclas or
They
Scotch whiskey?
weren't even really
In
doing
all.
single malt scotches back then. It was all going into blends.
It's the oldest bottle ever in existence. Was donated back to the distillery.
Damn.
They found it in like a
Damn.
laundry
Yeah,
cupboard
so
wrapped in a towel.
It came back through family, it was passed down, passed to a cousin, and then they're like, it was wrapped in a towel in the back of the cupboard. They were moving, and they're like, oh, wow, that looks old.
Oh,
What do
I
you
wonder if the
What do we do with
distillery
that?
would like
You
that.
know
Bottle
what?
of booze. All right.
I'm just
Okay,
saying
whatever.
that if that story's true, that distillery should give that family lifetime bottles of at least their
Something.
starter range, right? You know what I mean? Our
Heck
base
yeah.
core range.
Because that is an irreplaceable bottle.
Well, the interesting thing about that, so you've got the Glenlivet. Well, this was bottled as Glenfarclas Glenlivet pure malt whiskey.
Right, because that was back before Glenlivet.
So
Glenlivet was
when they
the area.
Googled it, it would come up as.
Yeah, in 1920. That's hilarious. When you Google it. So it was originally bought it was presented to the manager of the Gartlock Distillery in 1920. He gave it to his daughter in 1947, who passed it on to her niece's husband in 1988 after it was
He
found.
didn't drink it.
Yeah, he never drank it.
Nobody ever drank it.
He kept it until recently, and then contacted Glenfarclas, and it's now going to become part of their distillery archive. And so,
That's pretty cool.
It was
Yeah.
either going to them or us, right? Because we would have cracked that sucker right open.
That sucker's getting open right now. So anyway, Telex
crazy.
says it's a viewer's choice tonight. So
What?
everybody, it's a viewer's choice.
Oh,
Basically,
so-
he's going to turn the camera on, and we
That's
get
what
to
we're
tell him
doing
what to
here
drink.
too.
So even if you folks don't have time to hang out for all of Telex, you gotta at least log on for the beginning of this to tell him what to
Vote.
drink. I'm gonna get on there and make him
It's all
drink
about
some
fucking
whiskey.
cheapest
It's gonna
stuff
be
he's
a-
got.
No.
Or the most
It's
expensive.
going to end up looking like a Rick and Morty episode.
I want Telex to try Johnny Walker Black.
Well, I'm sure it's got to be in this collection.
Dimple pinch.
I'm gonna need you to take these and shove these all the way.
Oh, man.
That's the only way we can get them across.
That was a great episode.
Boys, we are on our mark. We're good on time, so let's keep
Looks
it that
like
way.
it's time for Telex.
Yeah.
So let's say Telex, good show for you. Any parting words from our sponsor, Scotch Test Dummies?
Yeah, I was just going to throw it over to Scotch Test Dummies, our
One last word. Final word.
our new boss.
So 28 on. You guys go over to Telex's.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks to everybody that,
Thanks,
that
guys.
super chatted. We had a
Thank
great
you.
time tonight. We'll see you guys soon. 2 reviews
Fun.
coming up in the future.
Wheelhouse.
Cheers, guys.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. Cheers. Cheerio, mate.